What Manchester United can't continue to do is carry passengers. And I'm not talking about people who are not talented. I'm talking about people who just don't put the shift in that's expected at the highest level. Manchester United are a team who have one of the lowest running distances in the league. They're one of the worst from set pieces. They don't come from behind and they lose big away games. All the traits of a team that you don't want when you're talking about mentality. They've got to change that, and to do that, something's got to be stark. So they're all playing for their futures, but those two, I think, have had a light shone upon them now, and Ruben Amorim on Sunday becomes empowered and more authority off the back of that decision he made.
We'll get back to Gary and Jamie in just a quick second, but remember, if you like this video, please like, share and subscribe, and also click the little notification button just so that you know when the next Big D video is about to drop. And if you've got something to say, put it in the comments. I read all of the comments and I really want to know what is on your mind. Even if you think I'm talking rubbish, if you think the guys who I comment on are talking rubbish, I want to know why. So please put it in the comments. Now in this video, we're going to be talking about Marcus Rashford. I've made a few about him, but he is headline news at the moment. There's lots of clubs coming in for him, or at the very least inquiring. So it's like, where's Marcus Rashford going to play for the second half of the season, and the whole situation around that. But in the clip, Gary and Jamie, they're going to discuss Marcus Rashford and the current state of Manchester United. And afterwards, I am going to be giving my thoughts on that situation, and also the situation, the updated situation with regards to Marcus Rashford. Anyway, here are Gary and Jamie.
Well, that's where I want to take it, Jamie, with you, with Rashford and Garnacho. And of course, Rashford tends to get more of the headlines just because he's a Manchester lad. He was picked in the first game under Ruben Amorim. He scored after 81 seconds under Ruben Amorim. So it's not like he's come in, Amorim, and not given either of them a go. But that's quite a big fall, isn't it? To get picked in the first game, score after a couple of minutes, and now be bombed out of the squad altogether because of the way you eat, something to do with how you get dressed, and not engaging with your teammates, not lifting them up, I think is maybe what the translation is. Where do you stand on the decision that Amorim made and where we go now with these two?
I think the decision for Amorim was actually very easy, and I think it's one of them where it makes him look really powerful and really strong. He sends a message, but he's not actually losing anything in the team. I'm not sure Rashford improves the team, certainly in the current setup, the system. So I think in some ways it was almost like an open goal or an easy win for the manager, because sometimes when we see players or managers make this decision and they'll take a big name player out and it sends a message and they think, you know what, I'm going to take the risk because this is for the greater good. I'm sending a message to the squad. I might lose something in this game today, but I'm prepared to put up with that and accept it. I don't think you are losing anything if Rashford's not playing. He's not that good. You know, he's a good player. He's been a good player for Man United. He hasn't been for about 18 months. And I don't think Rashford playing in that game yesterday, and I'm not just saying this because United won, because I don't think it was a great game, to be honest. I think it was a poor game. I don't think Manchester United are missing anything with Marcus Rashford not playing particularly at all. So I think it was an easy win. He's the biggest name because he's the one we talk about a lot. He's the one on the highest wages maybe, but I think it was an easy win for the manager there, and I'm glad he's come out the other side of it and won. But I don't think I'd have been looking at that thinking, oh, he's cutting off his nose to spite his face here by leaving Marcus Rashford out, because I don't think, I wouldn't put him in Manchester United's starting 11.
But they have a problem though, Jamie, don't they? Because he's on 325, 350 grand a week. He's come out and sort of questioned and has questioned his attitude. It's not going to, I wouldn't have thought, it's going to be it's a depressed market anyway in terms of trying to sell Marcus Rashford on these kind of wages with over 3 years left on his deal. Do you think the only problem he's left himself with is it's going to be even harder to sell him now that he's come out and said what he said?
It might be, but you just said he's given himself a problem. It's Man United's problem. I don't think it's the manager's problem. He's new into the door. You know, the club have to provide him with funds to get Manchester United back again. He didn't give Marcus Rashford the contract. This is Manchester United's problem. And I would imagine if he continues to show a bad attitude, he'd be saying, I don't want him in my squad. You have to deal with that, and you have to basically pay him off. Whatever you need to do, you need to move him on because he's not part of my plans. And that's a club problem rather than the manager problem.
He's got to go, hasn't he, Gary? He's got to go now.
Look, I'm both of them are players who've come through the ranks and played for the youth team, so I've got an affinity to them in respect of the fact that I want it to work. He has been a 30-goal striker in a season, so there's an element of he's proven. But obviously his performances for the last 18 months have been very disappointing. And Garnacho has just gone off the boil. He's inconsistent. So I don't want to separate the two really, because they were both left out on Sunday. I always like to think there's a way back. Players that I played with, to be fair, who've got a lot better form, a lot better careers, were left out in the stands at times. Famous players who were sort of, if you like, quite at times openly, thrown into the stands, and it was big news, and there was a lot made of it. So it's not the first time this has happened at a football club where a player's been discarded. However, Manchester United are looking for a cultural reset. And I think what's really clear is that I've watched wingers, I watched even Trossard, Martinelli and Saka for Arsenal. You watch Liverpool's wide players, even Salah, who, to be fair, I think has bought himself a little bit of respite from chasing back every single time, but I think he still does. He gets back into a position. And you watch every other team in the league-wide players, they go and take high positions and then they get back in and they get narrow, or they basically get back to help. Garnacho and Rashford have been stuck up there on that left and right wing for the last 2 years, not doing the basics and the fundamentals of what you need to do without out of possession, thinking that that's the way in which ultimately they want to play the game, and maybe it's the way in which the coach wanted them to play the game at times. So they're going to have to respond to what is a big setback for themselves, and they're going to have to respond well, because I do think they're in last chance saloon. What Manchester United can't continue to do is carry passengers. And I'm not talking about people who are not talented. I'm talking about people who just don't put the shift in that's expected at the highest level. Manchester United are a team who have one of the lowest running distances in the league. They're one of the worst from set pieces. They don't come from behind and they lose big away games. All the traits of a team that you don't want when you're talking about mentality. They've got to change that, and to do that, something's got to be stark. So they're all playing for their futures, but those two, I think, have had a light shone upon them now, and Ruben Amorim on Sunday becomes empowered and more authority off the back of that decision he made.
So Marcus Rashford. So there's been quite a few teams just come out of the blue who have made inquiries about Marcus Rashford. I heard Como in Italy have made an inquiry about him. AC Milan, obviously, and Zlatan has come out and said that it might be a good move, or intimated that it might be a good move for Marcus as well. Monaco in France and Borussia Dortmund have inquired about him, because I think they are going to be selling one of their prize forwards, Malen, I believe it is, to Aston Villa. So they're going to want a direct replacement for him. Whether or not any of those moves will be a good move for Marcus remains to be seen. I think the best bet would probably be Dortmund. I think the German league would suit Marcus Rashford, really. It's a bit more technical. The way Borussia Dortmund play would suit his style, because he reminds me a lot of Jadon Sancho, the similar kind of players, and Sancho thrived over there in Germany as well. And I don't know, in Dortmund in particular, it seemed to suit Jadon Sancho's personality, and Sancho and Rashford seem to have that similar kind of, they feel as though they need to be made to feel special kind of personality. And perhaps Borussia Dortmund would work well for Rashford, because it certainly worked well for Jadon Sancho in both spells for the club. Obviously, Jadon Sancho made his name initially at Dortmund, but also when Man United loaned him back to Dortmund for a second stint, again, it was a success, and he helped them reach the Champions League final that year. So fair enough, So, and then after that, Jadon Sancho then moved to Chelsea, and we got a pretty decent deal out of that, because I think it's something like, all things considered anyway, we got him out of the club, we got him off our wage bill, and we've got a 40 million obligation to buy clause, because I think technically Jadon Sancho is still on loan at Man United, I think. But there is an obligation to buy, and if I'm not mistaken, I think it's about 40 million. So if Marcus Rashford goes to Dortmund, say, plays well, boosts his value as a footballer, especially if he scores 20 goals in 20 games or 15 games or something like that, which he's capable of doing, because let's be honest, the Bundesliga isn't quite as strong as the English league, and also as well, it's a bit more technical and open, technically speaking. So that might suit Marcus's game as well. He might have more opportunities to score goals, and the more goals that he scores, the higher his value goes.